السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. هي الوجه المظلم لإحدى إرساليات نشر اللغة والثقافة الفرنسية في العالم العربي، لا سيما في مصر ولبنان، مع الناشط الفرنسي صلاح لامراني وخفايا هذه القضية من الداخل. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. يرى بيير ديشامب مؤسس البعثة العلمانية الفرنسية أن التعليم في الواقع هو أداة للسيطرة والهيمنة على الشعوب الأصلية، وحتى أنه أبرز وسائلها. ديشامب رأى في المؤسسات التابعة للبعثة العلمانية الفرنسية سبيلا لنشر هذه الهيمنة. هذا كان ما أعلنه عام 1956، حيث قال: في حين سيطرت أوروبا من خلال قوتها العسكرية وقوة صناعتها وتجارتها من الناحية المادية، تابعت في فتحها الروحي من خلال نشر معتقداتها وأفكارها بنشر اكتشافاتها العلمية، ما حد بها إلى قيادة التطور العلمي. وكجنودها وتجارها كذلك المبشرين بها ومعلميها وعلمائها هم من بين عوامل تفوقها. لعل هذا الهدف باتت تبرز أنيابه في بعض المدارس التابعة للبعثة العلمانية الفرنسية، لكن بوجوه أخرى. فمنذ فترة في مدرسة الليسي الفرنسية اللبنانية في فردان بيروت التابعة للبعثة العلمانية الفرنسية، قامت لجنة الأهالي منذ بداية عام 2015 بتوجيه رسالة تكشف فيها عن مسار الخصومة الذي انتهجته المدرسة في التعاطي مع أولياء أمور الطلبة، حيث تشير الرسالة إلى أفعال من قبل البعثة العلمانية الفرنسية تجاوزت حدود النقاش الديمقراطي ولامست مستوى لا يليق بمؤسسة فرنسية مسؤولة عن تعليم آلاف الطلاب في جميع أنحاء العالم. بحسب المعنيين، فإن البعثة تلجأ إلى التهديدات والابتزاز ضد أولياء أمر الطلاب، وإلى العنف النفسي تجاه الطلاب، وإلى تجاهل السيادة اللبنانية والقانون اللبناني. صلاح لامراني المدون الفرنسي الجزائري والباحث والمعلم يخبرنا من الداخل عما خبره كمدرس في إحدى المدارس التابعة للبعثة العلمانية الفرنسية في مصر، وعن قضية التشهير التي رفعتها ضده، وحقيقة المشكلة، وآخر التطورات فيها، وما هي رسالته إلى شباب فرنسا. Salah Lamrani, French, Algerian blogger, researcher and instructor. Welcome to From the Inside, sir.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Well, Salah, the MLF, which is the French secular mission or the French lay mission, is suing you for libel. Why and what does the MLF stand for?
So the MLF is a French institution which has been created in 1902 for diffusion of the French language and culture all over the world, and especially as it used to be in what used to be French colonies. So they are partners.
The countries that were under the mandate of France.
They have schools today. They have schools all over the world, but they used to be a part of the French colonial project, and they were transmitting French culture to the countries that French was occupying. For instance, they were created in Madagascar after French conquested Madagascar, and then they opened schools all over the world in Algeria, they have schools in Egypt and in Lebanon and many other places. So they are, up to today, they are partner of the French foreign minister, and they are an actor for the diffusion of French culture all over the world. So
what's their case against you?
My personal experience with the French secular mission started in 2012. I was in Paris, and I was recruited by the French secular mission as a teacher to work in one of the institutions in Egypt. So that was my first position as a teacher in such a school, and so I went there trusting that I was working for a French institution, and I had experience with children in different places in France, but it was my first experience abroad. And actually I was recruited in November instead of September, because what happened is that the teacher before me fled her position.
Fled.
Yes, she fled her position because she had.
Is this the exact word that you're saying?
She fled.
She
left. Like she. Afterwards, I found out that she had.
She didn't quit. She fled. You mean?
She left her job. She left her job. She left her position because of many difficulties that were then presented to me by the responsible who recruited me, but as personal weakness. Like some teachers, I know that some teachers cannot handle their classes, but I was confident that I would be able to deal with them. And then, so when I came and found out what the situation was like.
What the situation was like? You talked a lot about it, but we didn't know about the details.
Okay, so the situation, it is a school where children rule. The children have much more weight than anyone, than the teachers, than anyone. Why? Because these schools I presented as French schools.
Which schools you mean?
In general, the foreign schools, and in particular the French schools in such countries as Egypt or Lebanon, especially in Egypt, because the situation of education in Egypt is catastrophic. So people feel like they have trust in France. If French means excellency, a French school means excellency, so I will have the best for my child, and I will pay very, very dearly for my child. It is sums that even in France not much people could be able to pay. So just compare.
Do you have specific school names, for example?
The school,
because we can't call all the.
My school was the Misr language schools. This school is one of the most famous. Is the most famous school French school in Egypt. In Egypt, and this is the school where I was working. And as I said, the situation was insane because children had all power. For instance, what happened with the teacher before me, the children were very, very turbulent. They made lots of noise, they didn't listen, they didn't obey, and she tried to control them. She tried to control them by giving them some assignments, for instance, but what happens, she gives them an assignment, the child goes to the direction, and the direction cancels the assignment. The direction always sides with pupils.
The director sides always with the students.
The director is always with students
against his own instructors.
Why? Why? Because the teachers, they mean nothing. The children, because if a child leaves, it means a loss of money. If a teacher leaves, as it happened with at the very least 3 teachers during this year, like many things happened and I couldn't catch up with everything, but at least 3 teachers had to flee, and then they can find some any kind of replacement. So,
but Salah, you were the first one to raise up your voice high and talk about this issue. I mean, there are lots of other instructors and teachers, as you said, that have fled or quit or were forced to flee due to such actions by the students and by the school, the principal and whoever is there. Why didn't they do that before? Did they side with you? Did they support you in your case?
Okay, so just I have to explain my case and what happened precisely with me. As I said, I came in, I found out that the conditions were absolutely incredible, indescribable. I had
unbearable.
Unbearable. It was very, very difficult for me to get a hold on my pupils. They happened to be middle school pupils from 11 to 15 years old, and it was very difficult, but I managed to get a hold of them, not without help from the administration, but because of my good relations with pupils and because of the fact that, contrarily to my fellow teachers, being an Arabic, Algerian and French, I have access to the culture, to the language that they have. So it was easier for me to make contact with them. So finally, everything went fine with me and my pupils after 2 or 3 months of very, very daily hard fights to control them, to have them come back to discipline, and I managed. But what happened is that I had especially another colleague who was in a very difficult position. He was threatened by physical aggression. He was daily harassed, disrespected by his high school students, like up to 18 years old, so it was much more serious with him. And everyone knew that he was in a dangerous position, but no one did anything because everyone was protecting his own position. No one wanted to do something while the administration knew what happened. For instance, in the afternoon, school starts at 1:30, and children are not, so it starts at 1, and children enter the class at 1:30. For half an hour, that is half the class, they stay in the yard and they play. Everyone sees them. They don't care because
they don't abide by the rules.
They don't abide by the rules. They show their lack of respect to the teacher.
Yes, no discipline, no discipline at all.
No discipline at all. And it happened that at some place I went to assist him. I went to help him on my free time. I wasn't working on Sunday, so I went to help him. And this confronted me directly to the administration because I tried to get a hold on the pupils to discipline them, but they complained. And when they complained, the administration comes to you and to say, what are you doing? This is your fault, etc. So I had problems with the administration of the school for trying to protect my colleague. And it happened that on 17th of March, my direction forbade me by writing to assist this teacher because of complaints by some turbulent students. It was working somewhat, but
you were commissioned to assist him, and then you were stopped.
I had the permission. Like it's a difficult situation because the school has a French part, and on the contract I work for the French part, and my direction is a French direction. But on top of this French direction, there is an Egyptian direction, which is supposedly not allowed to intervene, but actually they intervene a lot. And even though parents are told that this is a French school with purely French management, the French management abides by the diktats of the Egyptian management. So I had the authorization for some time to assist this colleague for some time, but then because of the pressures, my supervisor forbade me by writing on 17th of March 2013 to assist him. And what happened very predictably is that the very next week, just on 27th of March, he was physically assaulted by pupils and he left for his security, and the school didn't see him for a full week. So everyone knew what happened, everyone predicted what was going to happen. It was predicted and I tried to intervene, but they let it happen. They let it happen because children's rule, and there is absolutely no discipline, absolutely no concern, no respect for, no regard for the teachers.
Don't you think that these things that you were telling us, that you were explaining, are very harmful to the image of France?
Yes, what happened after this aggression, after my colleague was aggressed, what happened is that it was something serious. It was serious, and I was decided not to let this go by. So I protested to the direction, and I said that I will speak to the parents because this was going too far. I couldn't accept that. So the direction, what it did, they decided to fire me. They fired me the very next day. My colleague was aggressed on 27th of March 2013, and I was not fired like by writing, I was fired by force. The very day after that, on 28th of March, when I came to school, to my office, to take my position, I was forbade entrance by the guards, and they told me, you are not to enter the facility today. I said, why? Give me a notification by writing. And they say, okay, we will bring it to you, and I waited. And while I waited, when I was speaking with my pupils, the guards forbade me to speak with my pupils. They were coming and saluting me, and they forbade me to speak with them. So, of course, I didn't comply because as a teacher and as anyone, I can do whatever I want with my pupils outside the facility. So they were violent with me. They, like some 6 or 8 guards, attacked me in front of my pupils, like in front of 11 years old
very
pupils. Very
humiliating.
In a very violent way, but very shocking way.
Right, Salah, we're going to stop now for a short break, and then afterwards we're going to talk about a similar case, but in Lebanon with the MLF. Okay? إذا فاصل قصير ونعود. لا تذهبوا بعيدا. من أن المدرسة تخضع للقانون اللبناني ولا يحق لها بأن تقوم بهذا التجاوز، فالتلاميذ محميون بموجب القانون 515 الصادر عام 1996 الخاص بالموازنة المدرسية، إذ تنص المادة 10 الفقرة باء على إذا حصل نزاع قضائي بين إدارة المدرسة وأحد الأولياء فيها بسبب تطبيق أحكام هذا القانون، لا يحق لإدارة المدرسة اتخاذ أي إجراء بحق أولاده بسبب النزاع. صلاح لامراني المدون الفرنسي الجزائري وأحد المدرسين السابقين في مدرسة تابعة للبعثة العلمانية الفرنسية في مصر، ماذا يقول في هذه الممارسات غير التربوية؟
What happened in Egypt is that I was fired like by force without any writing at all, and I complained and I said that I will do anything I can to enforce my rights. And when I did so, someone from the French embassy threatened me to, first of all, he tried to be conciliative and told me that I shouldn't try to raise my case to justice because it would be a waste of time and a waste of money, etc. And when he saw that I was determined to enforce my rights, he threatened me. He said that if I did anything that could harm the image of France abroad, I will be put on a plane and sent back to France. He was an official from the French embassy. His name is Paul Petit, and he came as an official to threaten me from kidnapping. So this is the disregard for the rights of a French citizen, and a disregard for the law of Egypt, because he is not allowed to make such threats in foreign territory. So now if I can go back to the issue in Lebanon. What happened in Lebanon, in one of the French secular mission schools in Beirut called the Grand Lycée Franco-Libanais, is that it decided to raise its fees in an unprecedented way and in a forceful way. The parents protested because, according to the Lebanese law, they cannot raise their fees more than some, like there is
there's a limit.
Yeah, there's a limit. And they decided to violate the limits and violate the lawful claims of the parents. And they went by force. Parents went to justice one time, and the French secular mission was condemned by the Lebanese foreign ministry, the Lebanese education ministry, not to raise its fees above the limit, and they didn't listen to this rule, and they tried to do it anyway. So parents had to go to another place called the Référé in French, and the French secular mission was condemned a second time. So, indeed, in Lebanon, they do not respect the law, and parents have to go to justice twice to force the French secular mission, a French institution, to respect the Lebanese law. So this indicates that this institution is not very regarding of...
Today, what is happening with your case, Salah?
So what is happening with my case is I published the whole case on the internet. I published my case, I published my whole story in a long 18 pages articles detailing absolutely everything from scratch. First of all, they sent me a letter of threat. They sent me a letter of threat telling me that they are going to sue me if I do not remove these articles. So of course I didn't take any heed of their threats. Actually, they also threatened Google. They wanted Google to delete it.
Google France.
Yeah, Google France to delete it because my blog is blogspot.com, and they wanted to delete my blog, 18 pages. So I didn't heed, and they seized the emergency court to force me to remove. It's like censorship. I seized the courts, the labor court. I seized the labor court last year against the French secular mission. So I am already in court against them. But they seized the court, the French court, the emergency court, to enforce censorship. They want everything I wrote about them, be it about Egypt, 18-page articles, or be it about Lebanon, which is just a petition. It's a petition of the parents of the Grand Lycée Franco-Libanais who denounced what it did.
The parents of one of the students there, yes.
It's an online petition. I just republished it
in
my blog, and I made just a few comments to say that it has similarities with my case in Egypt, and they are suing me. They are asking me to remove all the content in the internet, and they want 10,000 euros of damages. So what is interesting is that in my whole 18 pages, they are suing me in the first article about my case in Egypt, they sued me about one word. One word, which is mafia, because I call them the French secular mafia. 18 pages of very grave, precise, detailed accusations. They do not find that it is defamation. They do not say anything. Just the word mafia, they say that I compare them to the French, to the Italian mafia, which is preposterous, because the mafia, it's a common name. It means any kind of organization which has ways not very regarding of the law or
above
the right
the law.
of people. Yeah,
yes,
it doesn't mean the Italian mafia. So it's a case of pressure, harassment, intimidation. Just as I lived in Egypt, it was very harsh, and now they're doing the same to make sure that no one hears about them.
Salah, your case has fallen on deaf ears in the mainstream media in France and also in the media worldwide. What do you say concerning this, and what's your message to the youth of your country?
What we have here in France, like as is the case in many parts of the West, is that the media doesn't care about what happens. It just cares about propagating the voice, the official voice of the governments. So people, they do not have direct access to what happens. Be it with this letter, with many other things, anyone who cannot but follow the mainstream media, he will not know about many things. And by the way, I began my activities as a blogger, as a translator. I translated many voices that are not heard in France. For instance, I happened to translate speeches from Ali Khamenei, even from Vladimir Putin, because it's voices that are not heard.
From Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah,
yeah, from
too.
Hassan Nasrallah as well. And in France, like people who do not speak any other languages and do not have access to other voices, they cannot know but the official message, and they will miss many things. So my activity, be it with translations or writing or propagating my case, is meant to give access to French people, to people who read only French, to give them access to another voice, because we only have this one voice, which is the official voice. All the media, the mainstream media, are making some kind of blackout on anything that is not the voice.
The mainstream.
Yeah.
What's your message to the youth?
So my message is get information by yourself, is read. You need to not to get any kind of knowledge from one source. You need to make research, and for this, in our world, the internet allowing us to have access to all that kind of voices. So go and find out what other people, what other countries, go find out about all the viewpoints, listen to everyone, and then you can make up your mind about any issues that you are seeking.
Right, Salah Lامراني, French Algerian blogger, researcher and instructor. Many thanks indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, sir. إذا لقاء جديد في الأسبوع المقبل مع ضيف جديد وقضية جديدة، ودائما من الداخل. للمزيد من التواصل بريدنا theinside@almayadeen.net وصفحتنا على الفيسبوك من الداخل. من كل فريق عمل من الداخل، من كل الميادين، من العاصمة الفرنسية باريس. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.